makes the best HD diesel? We're going to find out in today's video by comparing the big boys, the Ram 3500 to the F-350, and finally to the Silverado 3500. I'll include a link to the Sky Ford, Chevy, and Ram's websites in the description down below. They're providing us with all three of these trucks. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get right into it. The Ram only has one diesel option now, the high output Cummins. It puts out 430 horsepower, 1,075 pound-feet of torque, goes through an 8-speed automatic, and it's a 6.7 liter inline six. Ford has two different tunes on the Power Stroke. This is the regular one. It puts out 475 horsepower and then 1,050 pound-feet of torque. It goes through a 10-speed automatic. It's a 6.7 liter turbo diesel V8. The high output puts out 500 horsepower and then 1,200 pound-feet of torque. The Silverado, just like the Ram, just has one tune for their diesel. 6.6 liter turbo diesel V8 also goes through a 10-speed like the Ford, and it puts out 470 horsepower and then 975 pound-feet of torque. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help me out with that. I mainly want to focus on the capabilities of these trucks, but I do want to mention that I picked out packages that are all pretty similar. So the Ram, for example, has the Laramie package. This is the Sport, but the Laramie just gives you the fully loaded interior with lots of nice trim. You get the big screen, digital gauge cluster. It's like their entry-level luxury, but it's more than luxurious enough for most people. Now this Ford has the Lariat package, which is also their entry-level luxury. And just like the Ram, you get an upgraded interior, big digital gauge cluster, big infotainment system, and in general, just a nicer setup. Finally, this has the Trail Boss package, but it's an LTZ. That's the main thing, is the LTZ. So like the other two, you get the more luxury-based interior with the big screens, heated, cooled seats, and either real leather or fake leather throughout. Depends on how the manufacturer feels. Now that that's out of the way, one detriment to this comparison is the bed size situation. The Silverado has a short bed, whereas both the Ram and the Ford have the long bed. I did my best. But while we're back here, we'll compare bed utilities. You can see the Ram already has bed liner. We've got an outlet, LED lights. Ford has LED lights and a fifth wheel prep, but no outlet, and it actually has a tailgate step. And then the Chevy has everything, LED lights, outlets, and fifth wheel prep, as well as bed liner. No tailgate step, so I guess it doesn't have everything. Now this leads us to towing. The Chevy has the least amount of towing capacity out of the bunch. It's right around 20,000 pounds. Both the Ram and the Ford are going to be in the mid-20s. Now it's going to depend on the exact configuration of the truck, but you know, 24,000 pounds for most of the trucks. And something important to note with the Ford, you're going to get a little bit more towing if you go for the high output versus the standard that this one has. Now before we get into payload, the Ford and the Chevy both have bumper steps. Ram does a kick step, but they still aren't about that bumper step life quite yet. Now payload should be pretty similar because the Ram has leaf springs, the Ford also has leaf springs, and you guessed it, the Chevy has leaf springs. Now all the trucks are coil sprung up front, but the Silverado actually has independent front suspension, whereas the Ford and the Ram actually have solid front axles. The gross vehicle weight rating for the Ram is 12,300 pounds. Then the payload on the Ram is 3,872 pounds. The Ford has a gross vehicle weight rating of 12,400 pounds and then a payload of 4,141 pounds. Now finally with the Chevy, 12,100 pounds of gross vehicle weight rating and then 3,696 pounds of payload. So it's actually the weakest out of the bunch technically. Now when it comes to pricing, all of these trucks are in the mid $80,000 range, so they ain't cheap, right? Again, they're luxury trucks. Let's see which one performs the best. This week's giveaway is all about muscle and luxury with two Cadillac V cars. The first of which is a CT5V Blackwing and the second is an Escalade V. Both these have supercharged V8s producing nearly 700 horsepower each. They also have tons of luxury and modern technology to match. Not only can you win both of these cars, but part of the giveaway is also $73,000 in cash to help pay for the taxes, and your donations go to help children's and veterans charities. Use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. This will give you 4x bonus tickets on any donation, $25 or more. Off in the Chevy first, and then we will try the other two. We'll start off in the weakest truck out of the bunch. I mean, yeah, it's kind of mean to say, but at the same time, it's got the least amount of torque, not the least amount of horsepower, but the least amount of torque, and then the towing capacity and the payload are the lowest, which usually Chevy does pretty good with payload. Towing, they're never the highest, but I think that's something that Chevy should kind of go back to the drawing board with, is the towing capacity they have with, not just, I mean, the HD truck. 20,000 pounds is still a lot, but half tons too, right? A lot of their half tons tow sub 9,000 pounds, believe it or not. I look at the stickers, so I know. This climate's going crazy. So this, in theory, should drive the best out of the bunch because independent front suspension. Now, I will say, on the front end, having that independent front suspension means that the steering's really good. And when you go over bumps, it's solid. It does not, it soaks it up well. It doesn't fuss around too much. And this engine's incredibly smooth. It's got great torque. And I don't think they do double, we'll see. Yeah, I was gonna say, they don't do double paned. We'll see if either of the other two have double paned windows. And I don't think any of these trucks actually do. But, you know, if you have double pane windows, that is going to isolate you from the engine noise. But the Chevy in general is just quiet. The Duramax is just a quiet engine at idle. When you get on it, you hear it a little bit, but I mean, especially, we'll be in the Ram in a second, especially compared to the Ram, it is basically silent. So, man, I hate this. You have to like move forward to be able to see, because there's this line of poles in the way. Man, horrible visibility. Not for the truck. Whoa! Truck kind of spun a little bit there. I wasn't even gonna throttle that deep. So it's got torque, guys. It's got torque. It's smooth. I mean, this is really nice. This is like pretty luxe. And comfortable ride, good torque, and the steering again helps out quite a bit. Like it's still an HD truck, so it's not like the most direct thing on the planet, but I'd say that it's pretty direct, all things considered. So we'll go pop into the Ram next, and then we'll do the Ford last. I'm actually most interested to see the difference between the Ram and the Ford, since those are the two trucks that have solid front axles, and then also they both have over 1,000 pound-feet of torque. So which one's going to feel stronger? Because the torque figures with both of them are pretty close. Ram. There's a joke that I've wanted to make in one of these videos for such a long time, but it's inappropriate, so I can't. I like to keep things, I mean, my channel, like, you know, sometimes I'll let a bad word slip here or there, so I guess we can't truly call my channel G. Maybe it's like, it's G most days, and maybe every so often it would technically be like PG-13. Actually, I mean, probably not even that, because like nowadays, PG-13 movies are pretty rotten, if you ask me. Like the stuff they show. So I don't watch movies. Yeah. If people knew about like more about my personal life, it makes so much fun of me. Because here, I'll give you guys a point to make fun of me. I don't even own a TV. I don't even own a TV. So yeah, have at it. Let's see how this Cummins goes. Smooth. And let's see if this has acoustic glass. Yes, it does. So even though the Cummins is by far the rowdiest diesel out of the bunch, the sound isn't bad. Like, you get the good sounds coming through, but it's not obnoxious at all. This is smooth. You know, compared to the Chevy, I mean, the truck it's a little bit bumpier, so like that's a bit of a downside. But other than it being a little bit bumpier, I kind of just prefer the drive of this. It's a little bit quieter, the seats are more comfortable, that's for sure. And, you know, the overall engine performance, this 8-speed's great. This has so much torque. You know, the V8s with their high horsepower can be kind of fun in a lot of ways. But this, even though it doesn't have as much horsepower, man, that torque is where it's at. It's very smooth. Yeah, so I mean, so far with this compared to Chevy, I lean more towards the Ram. What I will say in Chevy's favor is Chevy still offers kind of the most value per dollar in the truck segment in terms of they just give you more features. Ram and Ford really nickel and dime you for everything. I mean, you look in a fully loaded Chevy is like a good $10,000 less than the equivalent Ford and Ram. So, like I said, they definitely offer a bit more value for a lower cost with that Silverado. I love that Cummins chugging sound. It's so cool. So, oh, that was close. Not like super close, but kind of close. So anyways, so far I'd rather be driving the Cummins than the Duramax, it seems. But let's see if the Power Stroke converts me to the, what should we call it? The Church of Ford of Latter-day Torque. Because that was a bad joke. But man, that thing's got a lot of, it's not even the high output, but it still has a lot of torque. Let's go pop in. Finally, the Ford, the F-350. The big boy. Okay, is this person gonna just... Are they going anywhere? Nope. Washington plates. Typical. I'm just kidding. But what I will say is if anyone's doing stupid driving in Utah, surprisingly, like, Utah has some of the worst drivers. So you think they'd have Utah plates, but most of the time that I see crashes, it's usually Washington, California, Oregon, or Colorado. I don't know why that is. And the thing that I wonder, like, if it is a Utah plate that crashes, because I do see that every so often, I'm like, are you a transplant from Washington, California, Oregon, or Colorado by chance? Not gonna obviously ask someone that if they get into a crash, but it's always suspect in my mind. But yeah, we do have either way, we do have the worst drivers. People always argue with me on that point. They're like, no, there's no way. They're worse in this state or that state. It's like, come to Utah and you'll understand. Now Ford, just like the Ram, has comfortable seats. And it also has acoustic glass. So it's just General Motors that's skimping out on the acoustic glass in their higher-up package. Now this is quieter than the Ram at idle because you've got the acoustic glass, plus the V8 diesel is just idle quieter compared to the Cummins. Smooth, quite smooth. This is actually the most comfortable with the suspension, surprisingly. When you go over big bumps, you feel it a bit more in the Ford than in the Chevy, because again, solid front axle, sitting basically right under your butt. But yeah, not bad at all. Steering's good too. You know, for me, yeah, it really is between the Ram and the Ford. Now what I will say is this, you know, has that high horsepower feel, so it's got more of a top end to it. And the high output obviously has even more torque. But the Ram, just that, the Cummins just has that low end grunt that you just can't really replicate. And you know, the 10-speed's good, the 8-speed's good. Both of them are pretty good setups. So, ranking them, this is a tough one for me. I think we can all agree that in this comparison, Chevy is kind of in last place. It's not a bad truck. Like I said, the value proposition there, like features per dollar, it's the best value. Put the dollars aside, let's pretend like we got more money than sense. I like the interior on the Ram more. I like the suspension on the Ford more. I like the engine on the Ram more. I like the engine on the Ford. Can we make it a tie? Am I allowed to do that? Yeah, I think that's as good as I can do. I think between the Ford and the Ram, it's as close as you can get to a tie. Let me know your thoughts.